Another laugh. You guys are too kind. Okay, well, let's get started today. Empetu washte hamitaki api, yushkian wachi kapi, chante washte nape choose apelo. Guthrie Capicella Machiapi, Inya Waslaha Oyanke Matahan, Wana Mayo Clinic Wawashe Chamun. Good day, everybody. My name is Guthrie Capicella. I come from the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. I'm here working at Mayo Clinic, and today we've got another wonderful session of Indigenous health topics. We are going to be having our second session with Megan Latka. Really excited about today. So good for you all to be with us. Quick housekeeping before I turn it over to Megan, and we'll get started. So we are going to have time for Q&A at the end. We're going to run up till about the 1 o'clock hour with Megan's presentation. Please do, as you go or as she's presenting, add your questions to the Q&A function so we can circle back to those in the order that they came in. We'll try to hold that as a very informal community space. We're going to get started today with a prayer, so I want to hold off on introductions until we're done with that. But when we're done with the prayer, I'm going to send you guys a reminder in the chat just about, go ahead and introduce where you're from, who you are, if you're a tribally enrolled member, or if you're working in Indian country in any capacity or not. We just want to make this a good community space for all of us. So happy that you're all here with us today. Megan's going to have a couple of points of engagement throughout her presentation. So we're still going to use the Q&A function for our questions, but she's going to have some questions of her own to send out to the group, and we'll utilize the chat there, and I'll monitor the chat for those. So, all right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Oh, I didn't even do the title screen. I am sorry. I got to reshare. You guys, you would think by Friday we'd have this down, but it's okay. Spring break is coming up for us down here in Rochester, Minnesota at the Mayo Clinic. All right, so session 2, revitalizing efforts and practices and traditional medicines of the northern Minnesota. I'm going to give it over to Megan. Megan, thank you so much for being here with us.
Morning, Kanawia. Hello, everyone. I am just doing the technology thing right now. So getting my screen up. There we go. Okay. So Amin Anishinaabe Dug, Aje Ayan, Minanakwe Indigu, Makundundame, Kawababigin and Dunjaba. Hi, everybody. How are you? My name is Minanakwe from the Bear Clan, and I am from White Earth. I'm a descendant of the Pembina band of White Earth Ojibwe. Today I wanted to start us out in a good way in lieu of all of the trying times our communities are in right now. So we're gonna have a prayer song for sharing that with me and taking the time to come to this space together today. So Buju Minanakwe Indigu. This slide is a little bit about who I am. It really shows who I am. So I'm newly engaged to my partner, Tony. I'm super tradish. I'm a hunter and gatherer. I currently work at the Center of American Indian Minority Health with Dr. Owen, Amanda Dion, Donis Chosa, James Ryden. I'm a berry picker. I own my LLC, Ojibwe with Minanakwe. I speak with a lot of candor. I'm an auntie. I'm Resi. I'm a language speaker, Minawa learner. I'm a medicine keeper. I'm an early educator, a K through 12 teacher, and an adult trainer for the state of Minnesota. Through my work, over the last 12 years, it's really evolved to who I am and what I do. And it really has been a journey. for me and my children. And so I always highlight my kids. They're the most proudest work I've ever done. I love being their mom. Creator blessed me with these three goons. My daughter Elliot, behind Elliot is Jake, and then in front of Jake and Elliot is Oshiman. Oshiman means littlest one in Ojibwe. His English name is Alex. And this clip is just who I am as a mom. So I don't know if you heard that, but when your kids tell you they don't feel good and you're a Native mom, and then you just start throwing all the medicines at them, that's the kind of mom that I am to them. And they have been carried on me and learned with me every step of the way. And that's my biggest celebration in my life, is that I've been able to do this work and continue to do this work with my own kids, for communities, throughout the whole state of Minnesota. Sorry, it's gonna play again. All right, so my lineage, we mamayid, our moms. So from left to right, you see Clara, Eleanor, Patricia, and in front of Patricia, the little girl, is my Auntie Peggy. So these three older ladies are my grandmas. My grandma Pat is my dad's mom, who had 10 children, and my dad had me and my siblings. Um, to know Claire's mother, I don't know her. I don't know her name. I've never seen a picture of her. And then I do know, because of, research and digging through things, Angelique Mukwa was the first generation in our family of women. And so that being said, I'm the seventh generation of women in my family. And I have this picture with me. And as a seventh generation, I take this job very seriously, because I know that these Angelique Mukwa prayed for me 7 generations ago, and I'll continue what they have asked of me. So growing up, I was too white for the res girls and too res for the white girls. There was So I grew up in the late 80s and the 90s. And I had a lot of this. How much Native are you? And this is something I'm really hate hearing today. How much Native are you? And I said, so much Native, so much. And her is like, no, what percent? And me, like, so much percent. And her, like, no, are you like a quarter? Or me, no, I'm a person, I'm not a quarter. So being Native is how I identify. And then this picture on the left is from the Grand Portage community, and I'm just gonna read it. So fully Native, who is an Indian? A Native American, an Indigenous person, American Indian, First Nation, or Aboriginal? All these labels are used, but none is entirely correct. Who decides? Are you a full blood, half blood, quarter blood? The first question of how much Indian blood you have, also called blood quantum, began with European contact. This colonial way of thinking continues when we keep defining ourselves by blood. What part of you is Native? Is it your head, your heart? Maybe it's your thoughts, but it's not just your blood. We are the sum of all our parts, all human, 100% and fully Native. And as an adult, when I read this, I was like, this person gets me. Like, this is it is okay for me to celebrate myself as a Native American woman. And a lot of that was lost because of our history and our past that we talked about in my previous presentation. So I'm not going to go into that today, because today is about bringing it back and why we're bringing it back and who we're bringing it back for and what can we do about it and who can we work with. Oh, my slide's not working. Okay. So like I said earlier, this journey has been a lot of growth of who I am and who do I want my children to know, not just as a mom, but a language speaker, a gatherer, a hunter, a preserver, a community member, and a learner. And why? This is who we are as Native beings all the time, not just in ceremony, not just at home, not just at powwow, all of the time. And if trauma can be passed down throughout generations, and so can healing, and that's what we're all doing. Where do I identify this? Reservation air I've been breathing my whole life. I am part of that earth. I am part of that air and I'm part of that water. That's who I am, and that's who my children know who they are. And this generational gaps of our knowledge and our language and our teachings has ended with me and began with them again. So like I said, we're 7th and 8th generation, the first generations to speak our language since Clara, and the first generations to practice our traditions and culture before Clara. Our family prayed for us. So these are my kids when they were just little at the White Earth Powwow. My daughter looks so happy about it. But we're the fire and we're bringing it. So Michael Sullivan did a research study, and the prediction is in 50 years, there will only be 3 indigenous languages left. Ojibwe-Moan being one of them. That is my language that I speak. And so how can we save our languages? From the study, community revitalization is key, and that's what we built here today. And I thank Guthrie and Mayo Clinic for building this community for us to be together. So these pictures are some ways that I've been given platforms or invited into community to share teachings, learn from elders, learn with elders, learn with students, learn with teachers, teach teachers. Ojibwe language is, I'm very passionate about it. Bringing in Ojibwe scientists. I mean, we're the first people of this earth, and who better to teach these teachings than Native people. Ojibwe sky stories, everything from the ground to the sky. That's what I like to talk about. And growing up really unknowingly, having all these teachings from my dad and my uncles and my aunties, and even though we didn't go to ceremony, we didn't go to lodge, we didn't go to powwow. I mean, if I asked to go, I would go to powwow. But back in the day when I was growing up, I was living a traditional life unknowingly, and we'll get into that too. So throughout the state of Minnesota, you see our reservations. Upper Minnesota consists of Ojibwe tribal nations, and lower Minnesota consists of Sioux communities, Dakota. The thunderbirds are rumbling outside, and that's really cool because it's springtime. Maybe they heard our song. So I have a question for you guys to come into the chat. Since I'm Ojibwe and we're from all over, do we stick to our own communities, our own states, our own country? Because we all also have relatives in Canada, Mexico, South America. Or another question is, how can we revitalize our ways? And also a thought is revitalization decolonization? So if Guthrie, if we could get into the chat.
Megan,
Yep.
give me Q1 again. And I'll drop Q1 in the chat, and then I'll drop the second Q in the chat as well. Do we stick to our own, or what was the question?
I can put it in the chat.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
Yeah. Do we stick to our own communities, states, country? Do we stick to our own? Another discussion question is, well, let's do this one first. Do we stick to our own community, states, and country? Is that what we need to do? Thoughts into the chat. Your connectedness is important and we should be celebrated. We will perish in separation. I feel we're all one. I'm here for our future generations. My community is where I am at that time. Love that. Goveen, we need to share and learn from one another. Okay, get. Interdependence strengthens. Along with Indigenous people around the world. Wholeheartedly agree, Anita. Oh, there's another Pembina band member. Hello, cousin. We should gather with those who want to learn. All members are important. Right, and that's why we're all here together today. Change is here, we are home, where the land is. Love that, Susan. Protect our own cultures and traditions, but always remain open to learn from others and support each other. Agreed. I agree with all of that. Thank you guys all for that. Okay, so now, Heather, hi. I think that things are changing more recently. Agreed. Okay, so moving on to the next part of this discussion is how can we revitalize our ways through interconnectedness? How do we do this? And also, is revitalization decolonization? Is revitalization decolonization? Camps, chances, sharing sources. It is taking the best of both and moving forward. Show up in community. What are your thoughts on revitalization as decolonization? Are we decolonizing certain situations? Or are we showing up as who we are? Re-indigenizing? Going back to the old ways? We need to recognize we can, okay, so Anita, revitalization can be decolonization, but we need to recognize we can go back. We only move forward and things will be different.
I think that might
speaking
be
up.
a typo. I could be wrong. I think she's saying we can't go back, but I could be wrong.
I took it as that.
Yeah.
Claiming sovereignty, speaking up, rising up. Thanks, Anita, for clarifying. She said, yes, you're correct. We cannot go back. I don't want my kids or my students or my peers or my colleagues to ever feel like they can't show up in spaces like I felt. Or for people to tell my children that they are not, because my little Osh will tell them that he is. And those are the children that I've raised. And I'm proud of that. And we all should be. Because it takes community. I didn't raise my kids on my own. Their community also helped raise them. So from this slide, we're going to move on and you're going to see the work that has been happening throughout the state of Minnesota. I'm going to share some videos that I pulled from YouTube that are part of the communities and the work that is being done in other communities, such as like Fond du Lac, Leech Lake, which are Ojibwe communities as well. And the reason why I wanted to have this discussion is because I want you to be thinking as we're learning what's been happening over here in Minnesota.
Megan, before you share that, can you just make sure you're sharing the sound as well? So when you just go share and then just click in the right hand corner over the very top and select share sound as well.
I got that.
Thank you.
Oh, how to live a decolonized life. And this is from the Kindness Project. You can learn about the Kindness Project by going to their website. Google Kindness Project, SSHS Kindness Project. So here's some of their ideas. Being respectful. And I always teach, be respectful also to yourself. Respecting yourself, respecting your body, respecting your space, listening to the elders and children and make time for them. Eat a healthy traditional diet of mainly meat, eggs, vegetables, and fruit. Drink lots of water and herbal teas. Exercise daily. Get outside and get to know traditional activities. Oh, your traditional territory, sorry. Increase your participation in traditional activities. Hunting, fishing, berry picking, medicine harvesting, and making hand drums, regalia, and baskets. Learn your language. Sing your songs. Dance. Get educated. Learn a trade. Work in a field you enjoy or you're passionate about. Volunteer in your community. Coach. Work at the gatherings. Start a club or group. Think positively. Encourage others. Celebrate everyone's success. Practice. Bathe in a creek, smudge, attend sweat lodge, meditate, pray. Strengthen your inner peace. Be grateful for all you have and what Mother Earth provides, and be kind. Even to yourself. I teach that as well. Always be kind to yourself. Respect yourself and go easy on yourselves. So over the years, as I have gone through my journey, I've learned forcing your culture and teachings and practices on yourself or others will do more harm than good. I have exhausted myself running, trying to make it to everything and do everything. And that is not the way that it needs to be done. We take our time. We go with the flow. We don't worry about time. It'll get done when it gets done. And that is my mentality when it comes to most things. So living within the seasons or the traditional Indigenous year. So in spring, summer, fall, and winter, that is our traditional Indigenous year. We go by the seasons. And then if you think back to this previous slide, these are things that they were describing: planting, planning, gathering. Ceremony begins again in the spring. Going into the summer, we're growing, we're continuing our planning, we're gathering, we're socializing, we're traveling, we have lodge, we have ceremony. In fall, we're gathering, we're preserving, we're hunting, we're making medicines, we're collecting medicines, continuing our planning, because we're always thinking ahead. And then in the winter, we're resting, we're socializing, we're attending round dances, we're ice fishing, we're spending time with each other, we're slowing down. And then we start over again when spring comes back. Also, I like to be a nomadic one. I'm a roamer. I've lived in a lot of different places and have a lot of different experiences. And my kids are over it, and they have gone to live with their dad. But still come hang out and we spend good time. But I know that they can't live in a van and travel around the world like I want to. It's just not for them at this time in their life. Maybe we'll pick it up later when they're an adult and they're doing the transition between being that adolescent years and going into those adult years. And maybe that's when I get the van back out and we travel the world together. But for now, they need a home base, and that's their dad. And it works for them. So forcing that on them is something that I could not do. Their dad is very supportive as a non-native in this traditional life, but he also grew up around the area that I'm from. And so he understands, and he's learned along with his kids and with me living this way. So the good old Gregorian calendar is a linear cycle. And this clip tells us the history of that. So we're going to listen to this article.
For something that's meant to lend order to our lives, the modern Western calendar has a messy history. The mess, in part, comes about because of the difficulty of coordinating the orbits of celestial bodies with the cycles of day and night, and the passage of the seasons. The year measured by the Earth's orbit around the Sun is roughly an unruly 365.2422 days. The Moon is likewise not a fan of whole numbers. In the space of a year, there are around 12.3683 lunar months. Societies have traditionally tried to make sure that the same seasons lined up with the same months. Ancient calendars from Mesopotamia, for example, coordinated months and seasons by adding extra months every now and then, a process called intercalation. In some lunar systems, though, the months can wander through the seasons. This is the case for the Islamic Hijri calendar. The solar calendar of ancient Rome gives rise to our modern Western calendar. The Julian calendar, named after Julius Caesar's reforms of 46–45 BCE, approximated the solar year to 365.25 days and inserted an extra day each 4 years. That left a rather annoying 11 and a bit minutes unaccounted for. More on those minutes later. The Julian calendar also left us a legacy of months in strange positions. Our 11th month, November, derives from the Latin for the number 9, a result of moving the start of the year from March to January. New months and names were juggled and rejigged to match the mechanisms of power. August, for example, is named for the Emperor Augustus. As the great Australian historian Christopher Clark has put it, as gravity bends light, so power bends time. As the Roman Empire shifted into the world we now call the Middle Ages, the power that bent time most successfully was that of the Church. But just as in the present, the Church was a multiplicity of intersecting powers with local and regional differences, and with a variety of internal identities and struggles. The start of the year, for example, could vary widely across medieval societies. Sometimes it was March 25th, the day commemorating the appearance of the angel Gabriel to Mary. Other times it was December 25th, the day agreed as Jesus' birthday, the perfect 9-month gestation period. Sometimes it was confusingly the movable date of Easter, making years of changing length. It was during this period that the problematic 11 and a bit minutes had their revenge. The seasons began to shift, little by little, and this had important implications for Christian timekeeping. The date of Easter Sunday, another point of contention, was timed to follow the northern spring equinox, a natural symbol of light conquering darkness. But as that equinox began to slip back in time, a distinction started to emerge between a legal Easter, that decreed by the calendar, and a natural equinox, i.e. the equinox that could be observed. As the gap widened, scientists and theologians, often the same people, fought it out over proposals to reform the calendar. Should a number of days be omitted from the year, just once, to realign legal and observable time? If so, how many? And who should be in charge of the change? The question became particularly intense in the 15th century, with a number of calendar reform proposals failing the test of pragmatics or political backing from rulers across Europe. One such proposal was discovered recently hidden inside a printed book at the University Library in Cambridge. It was written in 1488 by a theologian from the University of Louvain named Peter de Rivaux and suggested 10 days be removed from the calendar. Peter thought that a celebration known as the Jubilee, where crowds of pilgrims traveled from all over Europe to Rome, would be the perfect time for making the reform known to the world. The proposal was not the first or last to sink like a stone. But eventually those 10 days did disappear, when Pope Gregory reformed the calendar in 1582. This new calendar, the Gregorian calendar, jumped from the 4th of October 1582 to the 15th of October 1582. It also made a better approximation of the natural length of the year by manipulating leap years over a 400-year cycle. The 1582 reform landed in a world rent by religious divisions, some old, some new. Protestant England did not adopt the changes till the 18th century. Many Orthodox Christian communities continued to follow the Julian calendar, with later revisions to that calendar proving contentious and provoking further schisms. Unreasonable nature. It's easy to feel lost in time. The calendar helps to give us a map to the shifting revolutions of the seasons, the shape of our lives, and the larger arcs of history. But while we are placed in the matrix of calendar time, we also make it. Could we do better than the Gregorian calendar? That question was asked with particular vehemence in the 18th century by so-called enlightened thinkers, and was brought to a head in the French Revolution. In 1793, the revolutionary government regularized the month to a standard 30 days, each with 3 weeks of 10 days, leaving a messy 5 to 6 unallocated days a year, and giving workers only 3 days off each month. The start of the year was shifted to the autumn equinox, because an égalité, equality, of light and dark was a symbol of the new republic's ideals. The calendar was a victory of reason, if reason is aligned with simplicity, clarity and the number of our fingers. But, as we have seen, in astronomical terms nature is stubbornly unreasonable. The system was short-lived. Part of the problem with calendar reform is that calendars have to do with our lived experiences of time, our habits, our rhythms, our memories. To make radical changes requires particular fervor, or megalomania. But the history of calendars can also make us ask if we might modify our ordering of time in more gentle ways. This may not mean altering the calendar at a global or national level. But what about us here in our different regions of Australia? What if we finally acknowledged that?
Okay, and now it gets into Australia, but I wanted to really get into that because time and days for this calendar are based on the Earth revolving around the sun, but does not follow any synchrony to the lunar phases. And the winter is the new year and also the end of the year. Christianity and government concepts are truly based on our westernized calendar. And summer months are 3 months long and no school, and were primarily used to keep children working at home in the fields. And so this is the calendar that we all follow, that we grew up learning in school. Our children follow. They don't follow the seasons. They follow holidays. They follow this calendar at school. We follow it at home, etc. But the native culture's soliloquial and interconnected calendar. So our calendar can be found on Turtle's Back with 13 moons. Inside the circle are our seasons, our medicines, our directions. We also think about ourselves, that interconnectedness by our physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental health. The seasons of birth, growth, death, and rebirth. And that's exactly what Mother Earth does in her yearly cycle. Right now, we're in a time of rebirth with spring, for example. And so within the seasons, starting up in the left, this is these are ideas of lesson plans, teachings, different things like that we're gonna start getting into a bit more here. But this lesson plan is done in the winter. It's around storytelling and the night sky, and the constellations, Ojibwe constellations. Springtime, harvesting, fiddlehead fern here, me, berry picking in the summer, medicine picking. And then in the fall, this is my planning, my stash of medicines for the winter. And so spring is a weird time in Minnesota. And you're going to see that in these videos because we have first spring and then we have spring. And sometimes spring isn't really here. It just goes right from winter to summer up north. So you'll see that in these videos. But this first video is my language family and I breaking into Sugarbush.
My sons and I went
not
out
that
exploring
one.
tonight.
This one. So in that video, we busted into Sugarbush. We still had snowshoes. You could see the multiple generations in the video. And we sat at my as Sugarbush with our language family. And we spoke Ojibwe the entire time with our kids, with the elders. We had some people just come sit on the road because they didn't have snowshoes, or we traded off so people could get back there with us and things like that. And then this video is from later spring.
My sons and I went out exploring tonight. We scored some fiddlehead ferns. We washed them up, sauteed them with some corn, some celery and onions, mixed it with some wild rice and some grass-fed beef, and turned it into a hot dish.
So that was our fiddlehead fern, wild rice, tater tot hot dish. I feel like that just encompasses all of Minnesota in one video. My son was in the creek. He does that every year. As soon as the ice is off, he's in the water. He's a summer baby, so that's what his little spirit calls him to do, I guess. And the gathering and harvesting of fiddlehead ferns is something that we really look forward to, because it's like, yes, it's nice weather, everything's coming back. And so these two moments with community, with us just being a bunch of natives out in the woods, is truly revitalizing our ways and living our ways. Sorry. So sorry, guys. Okay, so in the summer, live free. So this is my time. I know now that my kids are older. This is when I can take my kids and live freely with them. We travel, we take time for people we care about. Minnowisanen, we eat well, we go to camps, powwow trail. In these pictures, this picture on the left is lake trout that we caught. And then we preserved it, and then we were able to can some lake trout, and then we gave some to our family members. This picture is Osh catching a sturgeon, but he didn't tell me he caught a sturgeon. He told me he caught an ancient one. And I go, what do you mean? And then they showed me this picture. And this is on White Earth Lake. This is a lake that I grew up on. This is a lake that my kids are growing up on. I'm fortunate enough to have a cabin there that I rent seasonally. And so being able to give him this experience and him bringing it full circle, I just was so proud of him. This is me over at Leech Lake Powwow last summer. My friend Liz called me, what are you doing? I said, I'm not doing anything. She's like, get over here. We're going to powwow. And so I just hopped in my car and went, and I love being able to do that. That's what I mean by live free. And then this is my daughter sitting on a cedar tree that's growing out of a edge of Lake Superior. And when she was younger, she told me, I just want to walk around and share tobacco on the earth. And she was about 7 when she told me that. And so this picture really embraces her and who she is with that, visiting that cedar and sitting down and having a talk. So I feel like this is messed up a little bit, but let me try and go back. Spring, summer, winter. Okay. So these videos are the community videos that I spoke about. And my tips for winter are making spaces, building community, gather together, feast. One thing I didn't mention is feasting the season is a great way to bring your communities together, bring your families together, bring your friends together, and feasting the seasons at the start. And then, this brings us together with our elders as well, and inviting them. So I'm going to play these videos for you now. This video is some Indigenous concepts of calendar.
The winter solstice is a really key time for a lot of Indigenous peoples. In Anishinaabe culture, my culture, we see it as a time of big change. The winter solstice is the shortest day of the year and the longest night of the year, and it leads us into the winter season. Traditionally, Anishinaabe have seen the winter as the storytelling season. So it's when things calm down, there's not as much to be gathered or prepared out in the bush or on the land. We're with our families in our dwellings, and we're passing the time with our kids by telling stories. So the winter solstice really marks that season of storytelling to come. And it's something that I think is really valued amongst a lot of communities because it does reflect that time of togetherness and that opportunity to share stories and culture and so on. So in a lot of Indigenous communities, I think the winter solstice is something that's marked in the same way as Christmas maybe, or the New Year. or another one of those seasonal sort of dates on the calendar, right? So it just means, you know, we're gonna get together, we're gonna hunker down for the winter and share some stories, eat some good food, and hopefully celebrate who we are as Indigenous people.
So the Indigenous concepts of the calendar and living within those seasons and how we are living them and why we're living them is what I wanted you to get out of that video. This next video is about storytelling and Wintermaker.
Winter was here. It didn't seem to go away. It was constantly cold. And so Nanabushu had to figure out something to do to make the Wintermaker go away. So he decided, as Nanabushu will often do, that to trick him into coming to a feast. So he invited the Wintermaker to a great big feast, spread out all this food, and the Wintermaker started eating. And the women in Nanabushu's household kept bringing out more and more food. And the more and more he ate, the more and more he started to sweat. And as he sweated, he threw off more heat, and the snow started to melt. And then the Wintermaker realized that he'd been tricked and threw down all the food, got up and left, and just before he left, he turned around and said, "Don't forget, I will be back." And of course,
winter always comes back. This is about
The
Winter
14th annual
Games.
Ojibwa Winter Games took place.
I'm sorry. This is about Winter Games in Lac du Flambeau.
This week at Lac du Flambeau Grade School, giving students the opportunity to participate in a variety of traditional winter sports. The Ojibwa Winter Games were founded in 2012 by Wayne Valliere, an Ojibwa language and cultural instructor. Valliere is well known for his deep passion for sharing the traditions and culture of the Anishinaabe people with younger generations, emphasizing the importance of learning the Anishinaabe language.
The language is the nucleus of our culture, and it's our identity, okay? So through these games, we help our young people to obtain their identity.
5th and 8th grade students participated in 6 events rooted in Ojibwa culture. Some of the contests included archery, hoop and spear, snowshoe races, and snow snake. Valliere took some time to explain the origins of this popular event, always tying the stories to the language.
A millennium ago, our hunters were getting bored. Somebody threw their spear and it slid on the ice. And the other guy said, "I bet you I can make my spear slide farther than that." So he slid his, and hence the games. So pretty soon somebody made a special doll. Wow, that looks like a ganebik. That looks like a snake, the way it slides on the ice like that. So hence the name, Gunika Ganebik, the snow snake was born.
Tribal President John Johnson stopped by to see his grandson take part in the games.
For our Indigenous kids here and all the youth that attend our school, it is games for them, you know, it is competition, and the better they get at it each and every year as they're growing up, it's teaching them a lot of values about their culture and their people and where it came from hundreds of years ago.
Valliere sees the teaching of his culture as a duty to the elders that taught him, elders that protected the culture through a time in the not-too-distant past when they weren't allowed to practice Ojibwa traditions.
Our elders, the ones that held the knowledge, became very apprehensive on letting it go. So gaining their trust was a big one, and then them sharing that with me. And then in turn, I made a promise that I would share it. I would share it with the next generation.
The Ojibwa Winter Games give students an opportunity to have some fun and connect with their culture. Reporting in Lac du Flambeau, I'm Kerry Bladorn, Newswatch 12.
I love that this was broadcasted for everyone to know about and to learn about. I love that. And so creating spaces, passing things down with games is so great for our youth but also for us, because I think that when the elders see these things happening again, I think it helps heal them. And then we're on to fall. So then goes this Jake Wawaskeshi Natun. So this is my son Jake's first kill. And in my culture, this is when my son became a man. And when he called and told me that he got a deer, I cried so hard. And then I processed the deer with my daughter. And we had his first kill ceremony. And this is him growing up on me. But also now I have a hunter to take that over for me. And as a medicine person, I utilize the tallow of the deer to make medicines and to teach about medicines. Again, my collection of harvested medicines. Down here, I'm at my parents' house, and I was stocking them up with some freezer foods of squash and cranberries. Whoops, sorry. And then wild rice is huge for Ojibwe people, and this video is on what the White Earth community is doing for wild rice. And here I have some old classroom flashcards of ricing words in Ojibwe.
Wix, one platform, any website, unlimited creation.
Sorry about the ad.
They're making wild rice here on the White Earth Reservation in northern Minnesota. It's a time when the Anishinaabe take to the lakes with our ricing poles, our canoes, our bawaganuk, our ricing sticks. And it is a time our families gather to harvest our most sacred of foods, minomen. Minomen or wild rice, the food that grows on the waters. That we were instructed in our migration story to go to the place where the food grows on the waters. It's our most sacred food, first food eaten by a young person, a baby, and usually the last food served to the elderly. It is served at our feasts and ceremonies. Where there is wild rice and minomen, there are Anishinaabe people. We take to those lakes and rivers and we pole through to collect our wild rice. It's hard work what our people are doing, but we're very, very proud as Anishinaabe people of being the people of the wild rice, that we can feed our families, feed our bellies, and feed our souls as our sacred food. We're also the people who are able to make a living for our families through our wild rice. Our community fought long and hard to stop the genetic engineering of wild rice, and has also worked to try to keep some of this wild rice and the value added in our communities. As large corporations took our wild rice, domesticated it, and now 95% of the wild rice that is marketed in the United States is coming from diked rice paddies in Northern California. We don't call that wild rice, we call that tame rice. It doesn't taste like a lake. It doesn't smell like a lake. This is our people coming in. We're proud this time of year. Our families are able to eat, and we're able to bring some money home for our communities and for the winter. This is our native harvest wild rice being purchased at Lakeside. This is on one of our trailers, and we were good. We paid the best price out there for the rice so that people could get the best money for that hard work they had. Families going home with hundreds of dollars for a day's work, which really makes a difference in our community. And they're proud. A lot of these people, young men, this is something they're really, really proud to do to continue their traditions. Our rice comes into our rice mill here on the reservation. This time we're hauling it in our horse trailer. Sometimes we use the big trailers, but sometimes we use a horse trailer when that's what we have. And we're happy to be able to offer our wild rice here. We're going to be parching this rice for our families, our community, and for our customers. Thank you for joining us. Miigwech.
The wild rice is available for purchase. Just kidding. But it is. It is a huge part of our economy here in White Earth. Like they were speaking about in the video. And the tribe purchases the rice as the ricers get out of their canoes. And so the money goes back into the community. And so it's a great process, I think. A colleague of mine was visiting and she was telling me how much she loved wild rice. And my partner asked her, "Where do you get it?" And she said, "The grocery store." And he said, "I didn't even know you could buy it at the grocery store." And I said, "I just go to my dad's in the closet and take the scoop and put it in a bag." And she said, "You guys don't know how lucky you are." And I was like, wow, like that was different for me. Okay. Social gatherings. What are these and what do they look like? What about the budget? I hear that a lot. And what about the culture? And so these are simple items to make elderberry tea. We had a tea making class at the Mahnomen High School with the Indian Ed department. We used food grade items in jars, the twine, and a cardstock label. And so really inexpensive. And great to learn how to do it, watch how to do it, make it yourself, and then bring it home and then share that as well.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than
Sorry about
70
the
years
ad.
ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. It's
So this is about social gathering. This is Thomas Howes. He is a lacrosse stick maker. He also works with a lot of youth in the Duluth, Bad River area with lacrosse.
Tricky. And so it's all catching and pulling and turning your wrist over because it's such a small hoop. And so that's how you can catch. Same thing if it's on the ground, you're capturing it and turning it over.
Right around me. Everybody come on in.
Well, there's a reason we've had this game. Ojibwe people have had this game for, I don't even know how long. You know, before Europeans, we had this game. And with that interaction, we've lost contact, at least with it here, especially in my village, in Fond du Lac. You know that there's no one around that remembers where it was played. There's Tom Peacock has a story though that the old ball field up on Res Road, before it was a baseball field, was a lacrosse field. You know, so one of these, when this pandemic's over, I'm making sticks partly for that. Make a set of sticks and we're going to go have a game and sort of reclaim that space. It's relatively new to me. I haven't been doing this for that long. Still a learning process. I was really getting into it and then this pandemic happened. It's really fun to play with people that know really well how to play. Menominees, Ho-Chunks, Ojibways, Lakotas, Dakota. And man, is that fun. Just to play with like high level. Man. There's another wager game that guys that play sometimes that I think has really cool sort of community values. Is everybody who's going to play that day brings something, a blanket, tobacco, whatever it is, beads, earrings, something. And if you're going to play, you put your stuff in the pile. And then you play. And if I score, I get to go to that pile. And I get to take anything I want. But I don't get to keep it. I have to give it away to one of the spectators. So it's that idea of being selfless. 11 years ago when my twins were born, I was at a birch bark canoe making event out on Fond du Lac. And Marvin Defoe says to me, "Hey, you gonna make them babies a dick and noggin?" And he's like, "You guess you got to make two." You know, after he learned I was having twins. I always loved these. And these I just finished with beeswax. And so that's how I learned, got really into steam bending wood with that. And so since I knew how to do that, this wasn't as much of a leap to get into. And no one that I know of from Fond du Lac makes them. And that's sort of one of the big hurdles to people playing is just having sticks. And so I figured, well, I'll start making sticks. But when I picked one up and I actually played with it, I don't know how to explain it, but it's magical. It belongs. It belongs. It's just probably part of the way I see the world, I guess, as an Ojibwe person, is we've lost so many things. And to be able to reclaim, revitalize the game play itself, but also the art of making them, just sort of appealed to me. There's a lot of different stories of the origin of this game and where it comes from and what it's for, and that all differs depending on where people come from. But there's a reason we have it, and I feel like there's a reason that we have it back again. There's some reason it spoke to me in a certain way. I don't know how to explain that. This is the grandest game, you know, and then the one thing that I think that it's more than a game is there are sort of three items that we have as Ojibwe people. We have our war clubs, we have our drumsticks, and we have these sticks. And I think we need that now more than ever, especially in a time where we're in a pandemic. It exposes our weaknesses.
The original.
Yeah, so just great social gathering around Creator's Game. Here's a social gathering that I did with some providers at our local IHS. We did a drum social. The youth led this with the Mahnomen Indigenous Youth Council. The invited singers and everyone were so welcoming to these colleagues of mine that I work with through the Minahawi program through the University of Minnesota. Marissa is in the purple ribbon skirt, and she is the first resident to do a rotation, to do a weekly rotation at our local IHS. And these providers are a group of providers that come in and fill in gaps at our IHS in pediatrics and adult care. And so I was able to, they were working at the clinic this week that this was happening, and we were able to go and be part of that and bring them into the community. And Katie and Daniel's son, Theo, was also with us, and he kept singing. And Katie kind of kept hushing him, and I said, "No, let him do it. He's connecting to that drum too." And she's like, "Is it okay?" I said, "Absolutely. That he knows what he's here for." He's 2, so it's a great moment for them, family as well. Okay, so now we're kind of running out of time. So Ogi, Taj, and Don are gonna talk about what's happening in your communities and how you're engaging with each other. And these are just some things. Native people know how to take care of Native people. And when people ask me how I do things, I always say, I don't do anything. I just go ask people to help out for the kids, and they're excited about it, and then they come visit. And I feel like that's just the Native way of doing things. And opening up and creating the spaces people to come visit is really important. And then another question is, I always get asked is, how do you know how to do all this stuff? And I'm like, this is the way I live. This is the way I was raised. Like I said earlier, is the way I'm raising my children in our culture, in our ways, and bringing it back, keeping it. I guess I'm not bringing it back. I guess I'm keeping ours. So let's discuss, if we could, what is happening in your communities and how you are all engaging with one another and revitalizing ways. So in the chat, what's happening in your communities? How are you all engaging with one another in revitalizing ways? Throw some ideas in there of what you can think of that you've been involved with your communities. I just want to take a minute to share ideas. National Healing Program at Clinic in Fairbanks. Awesome. Teaching plant medicine and involving community members and healers. Love that so much. Volunteering and supporting activities at our Elder Center. Spring powwows are coming up. Urban areas, different community events around culture. Sugar bush, feasting, art, beadwork. My family has a sugar bush at my brother's, and when we told our dad that we were gonna tap trees, he went to the local place where he can do welding and made us a bat to boil our sap in. Son also works at Prairie Island as a gardener and map maker. He is known as the tea maker. He spends lots of time bringing food to elders and listening. Some of our schools have started to add native food to their programs. That's great. I work with state and grant funded projects to share information regarding Montana tribes to healthcare providers. Hopefully provide information to have positive encounters and health outcomes. Both of my kids get to participate in Ojibwe language programs in county. So sister buys your children educational books such as Dancing on Wild Rice and Water Protectors. I love those books. I love the Water Protector book. Thank you all for your comments. Great work out there, everyone. Lots going on. I love it. And so I am open to work if you'd like to contact me. This slide is my information, what it would look like for me and into your program. This was asked last time at our first session together, and I just wanted to put this out there to let you know that I'm always willing to help run ideas, create, figure things out that work into your communities, into your programs, highlighting your community needs, asking what the community needs are, and then creating those goals and on opening that up to your communities. good luck. Good luck to everyone out there with Minose, luck in our language. To continue, good luck continuing to do good work. Sorry, I'm stumbling on my words. And I think in these communities and these spaces that we've created, I feel like we have so many resources. Don't forget to utilize them within each other. And for presentation information, Guthrie, take it away. Meet you, Miguel.
Megan, awesome job. Thank you so much for your time today. Great presentation. I really especially sort of appreciate your last comment about, you know, the people and the resources that are already there.
Yeah.
You know, in my past life, last job, you know, we were
Lifetimes ago, Guthrie.
this was before the pandemic. It literally was, you know, at the before times. So there's one question in the chat. We'll grab that here in just a second, or in the Q&A function there. But yeah, in my last role, you know, we were always focused on identifying accurate and good curriculum of Native people, you know, to plug in and meet state standards. And that's what, you know, we spent a lot of time trying to like identify where these resources were at. Well, sure enough, these resources have been created over and over and over again throughout time. They get made, utilized, and then put on a shelf somewhere and forgotten about. And so it's sort of secular, just in, you know, as we come and go in our professional lives and folks change, we sort of sometimes lose some of the things that are still there. So a lot of the things that you talked about today are, you know, in books. They're just older books. You know, they might be from the 70s, 80s, or 90s. And so they just sort of, you know, are back there in time. Anyway, better ask the questions. And then folks, you know, we're going to be moving into our really informal space. Appreciate you hanging out here with us. So if we have more questions than the one we have in the chat, you know, we can certainly get to them. The one question that Lauren asked, and I want to get to before too long, is what is the title of the Ojibwe Stars book that you had mentioned, or that was on your slide earlier? It was the Star Knowledge book that you had image of.
So Thomas Peacock wrote that. I think it's Ojibwe. No. You just give me a sec. I'm gonna go run and grab it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, she's doing that. Oh. Lynette, please feel free to reach out. Always happy to connect on past and current things happening here at Mayo Clinic. All right, well, she's doing that. I'm going to run through our sort of end of the day protocol stuff before she gets back. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. Okay, I'm not doing presenter mode anymore. I'm just not a big fan of it. Okay, so as always, you know, please do continue to provide feedback on what we're doing. So I'm going to drop this in the chat right now. So that's the survey for today. Please fill it out. Always happy to look and get the comments back from everybody. Appreciate the thumbs up. Our next person we have coming in is heard feedback loud and clear. We got to move around the country a little bit more. So we're having Ryan Martin, who is a public health advocate down in Arizona. He's also a retired military. He's going to be coming in and presenting next month on April 18th. You guys should have seen a flyer come out yesterday. And then I'll reshare it, but we did just share in the chat a few minutes ago, both Corinne and I did almost like simultaneously, that we've begun the process of migrating to YouTube. You know, again, who knew it was going to be such a gargantuan lift to get that over there. We don't have Megan's first presentation up on YouTube yet. And we're still working to get all of the older archived ones up there. But what I can say is, you know, we're going to continue to migrate all of those on there. We have 11 on there right now, many of them from 2024, and then a few that are a little bit older. So please go check that out, see what we've had there in the past. I know that sometimes within that survey data that's coming up is asking for sessions that we've already done in the past. So, you know, always happy to take in suggestions, both topics and speakers. And then, you know, we try to do our best to run forward with that. Okay, Megan's back.
Yeah, and I just dropped in the chat. It's The Forever Sky by Thomas Peacock.
Yep. And I think Lauren, I think Lauren's still online. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome, Lauren.
Folks, any other questions or comments that you guys have right now? I don't want to keep anybody longer than need to, but we definitely want to honor your guys' time. You know, we can go through a couple of things now. We can either do it through the Q&A. We can do it through the chat. You can raise your hand and I'll unmute you. Otherwise, we'll sit here in awkward silence for a minute or so. Feel good that it's Friday, and we'll get you guys going on your way to the you know, final half and final day of the work week. Hopefully for all you guys. If you guys have to work tomorrow, I'm sorry. It's a sad story, but you know, someone's got to live those once in a while. I know I had my fair share of sad stories. So, all right, what do we got here? We got a bunch of Miigwetches, some Wopidas.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone today that joined, and thank you to the elders that listened, and thank you to the elders for the teachings on the videos. Also, yeah, Guthrie, this has been great, and thanks for working together on this. And
today was really, Megan, you know, really good job. I appreciate you sharing everything with us and talking about your story. How much Native are you? So much Native.
So much Native.
You know, that needs to be on a t-shirt somewhere. This is a light skin problem. This is the racial issue. You know, I always say, like, when they say that kind of thing, I'd be like, well, or when someone says, you know, oh, they're only that much Native, like which part? You know, is it their leg? Is it their arm, tooth? Yeah,
We already have one sale for a t-shirt.
Right, we've already got one. We've got another. We've got 2 down and an Empire to go. Okay, well, I already did the wrap up stuff. Megan, anything final from you, and then we'll close her out.
Pauline, Jimmy Gwitch.
Oh, hey, Maria. Sorry, I see Maria just hit us up with a question right beforehand. Where can we obtain Indigenous medicine books?
Writing Sweetgrass is a good one.
Well, she said, but yes.
You know, this is kind of weird, but so I collabed with Grant from UMD Pharmacy, and he's like, "Did you write all this down?" And I was like, "I don't know. I have to ask an elder." And so, elders were like, "Well, if you're using it for teaching, yeah, write it down." So some of our stuff, you know, if you're gonna be a medicine keeper, you have to learn the right way, the traditional way. And so some of my teachings are that, and there's some teachings that you have to ask with a SEMA for. And so that's how I learn Indigenous medicines. Like my comment about growing up and just knowing all this stuff was literally just walks in the woods with my dad. And my dad's like, if you take this flower and you pop the top off and then you can eat it and it's sweet.
In-house experts.
And I have vivid memories of that. Or, come look at this tree, this, and him pulling it down and then me picking plums off the tree. Like, those are vivid childhood memories for me. And I'm with my dad out in the woods. And yeah, so that's how I learned it. I didn't learn it from a book. So I don't really know. I don't know a good title.
Yeah, I'll make a couple of plugs to help find resources. So you mentioned Thomas Peacock's book. So that Black Bears and Blueberries, that's their publishing company. Him and his wife Betsy have that publishing company. So you can always reach out to those guys and ask them questions. Birch Bark Books is another space where they have good in-house experts. So if you want to talk about those kinds of books, they would have, the person that works there is going to know. It's a native-owned bookstore. And then if you're a Minnesota-based person, the Minnesota Department of Humanities, the Minnesota Historical Society runs the what's that called? The Trading Post up in Mille Lacs.
Yep.
And you could call the Mille Lacs Trading Post there. And those guys have really, really great resources. Otherwise, Maria, please feel free to reach out. If you're in the area, I can help a lot more kind of direct traffic, but outside of here, you might need to find somebody else. Okay, all right. We're rattling on.
If you are wondering about medicines or would like to know more or learn, just get a hold of me and we can visit.
Megan will do a chat. And if you didn't pull her email from there, you can always reach out to me and I'm able to forward or connect you to. So if you're registered in this space, somehow we're connected. Anyway, all right, guys, it's Friday. Next week is spring break. I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm going to drive to somewhere warmer. If you guys are up in the far north, go somewhere more south. If you're far south, go somewhere north, that kind of a thing. Anyhow, good to be with you all today. Thanks so much for everybody for your introductions in the chat. It's always good to see where everybody is and all the nations that we come from. Good to see our relatives from Standing Rock and everywhere else. So, oha, doksha ake wachian kintelo. Goodbye, everyone. Be well, okay?